Do you ever have that moment where you notice a subconscious blink and just for a second you think the power is surging off real quick and then back on? So you consciously blink again to see if it looks the same as when the power went out a second ago, and it does, and then you look around the room and nobody else seems fazed by it at all, so you assume you were just blinking, and then you ignore it and move on? Me too! We're like twins! Hey, guess what? This is my lazy vlog. So, there's... I'm just gonna roll right over that onto the next thing like it didn't even happen. If you followed me for a while, then you are aware that there is a YouTuber slash filmmaker, filmmaker should be first, filmmaker slash YouTuber that I watch and that I respect and that I look up to by the name of Jake Jarvi. And Jake Jarvi on his channel at the end of every year, he does this kind of year in review thing where he talks about his favorite content that he experienced for the first time in the previous year. If you don't know who Jake Jarvi is, I'll put a link in the place where links generally are. Check out his channel. It's really cool because he does the show called Platoon of Power Squadron, which is a fantastic web series that if you don't watch, then you're missing out on some of the best that the internet has to offer. And it's the basic format of this web series I'm kind of copying for my web series that I've been working on, The Darkest Timeline, that you've heard me talk about quite a bit. Link in the place links generally are. Go check it out because it's an awesome show, and he's a really great filmmaker that I look up to a lot. Anyways, because it takes so long to produce these episodes, in between the episodes of the show, he does update videos. And, he does, he talks about movies, talks about a bunch of things. His cinematic study guides have been the main inspiration for my show, Filmmakering Like a Boss, that I'm taking a hiatus from so I can work on a bigger project right now. The Darkest Timeline. Shameless plug. But he just put up yesterday, being the first day of the year, his 2016 year in review, where he talked about all the things he experienced that he likes for the first time in 2016. And I'm going to do it too. I'm going to answer the same things. And then I'm going to turn it into a tag game. I'm going to tag some people. I'm going to tag 3 people, because that's how it should be 3. 3 is a good number. I'm going to tag 3 people to do this. I'm trying to get a tag game going here based off of this same thing. So, but here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to put the questions in the place where links generally are like you do with most tag games, because I want you to actually watch my video. So many people, they're like, skip to the end to see who I tag, and then if I tagged you, then you go to the place where links generally are to find the questions, and then you don't watch my video, and you make, well, I shouldn't say most people, I should say I have done that when, in the past, when I suspected that I might be tagged in something. You ever watch a video, a tag video, and you're like, oh, they're going to tag me. And sure enough, they tagged you. And no, I mean, nothing against the people who have tagged me. I'm off to a great start. I'm just going to get going. So you want to know what the questions are, you got to watch. And then at the end, I'm going to tag my 3 people. So first up, and it doesn't have to have come out in 2016, though it can. It just has to, you have to experienced it for the first time in 2016. Here I go. First up, your favorite movie that you saw for the first time in 2016. And I wrote it all down. That's why I'm reading from a thing here. Because this is a no-edit. What I'm doing is a lazy no-edit thing, so I wrote them all down. So, okay. So the movie that I experienced that I like, my favorite movie from 2016 is called Under the Shadow. I think it was in August that I went to Sundance Next Fest in LA as press. I shot and filmed a video of it. Link for that in the place where links generally are as well, because I'm a linky kind of guy. And there was this really intense movie called Under the Shadow that played there, that I normally, like, it doesn't make sense for me to like it because I'm not a fan of horror movies, but this is kind of a horror movie. It was so suspenseful. It was so stressful watching this movie, and it was such a well-made movie. The cinematography was so good, and it was stressful. I'll put a link to it in the place where links generally are. The director is British, and it takes place in, oh gosh, I know it takes place in another country. I'm not gonna say because I don't remember exactly, and I know I will get it wrong. So it's not in English. It's overdubbed subtitle, or not overdubbed. It's subtitles, which I normally wouldn't like because as a filmmaker, I like to pay attention to the cinematography and shot composition, and I feel like subtitles take away from that. But in this case, it worked very well, so I didn't mind it. I'll put a link to the trailer to that in the place where links generally are. I loved this movie. It was so stressful and so intense, way more stressful than anything I've seen in the big budget tentpole. I could rant about this. I'm going to move on. Good movie. Check it out. I don't know if it's out yet or not, but check it out. So my favorite TV show this one came out in 2016 also. The answer is Stranger Things. Because I binged that show in one day. I saw the first episode, and then weeks later I binged the rest of it. And it's one of those where, like, you know, it takes the second or third episode for you to actually, like, get into it. But once you're into it, you're hooked and you gotta finish. So that's what I did. I did it all in one day. And I finished. And it was a great show. And everybody had been raving about it, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. This is a non-edit kind of video. Okay, my favorite book. I don't read a lot of books. I'm too busy watching movies. Actually, I'm too busy writing and working on projects and editing and filming and whatever. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm watching stuff. But I do on occasion listen to audiobooks. So I'm going to count this. I know this book came out a long time ago, many years ago, but I just listened to the audiobook of it for the first time this year, and the book is called Looking for Alaska. I'm way late on that train, but it counts because the name of the game is what did you experience for the first time in 2016? That was a very good book. I'm a fan of John Green altogether. My all-time favorite book is Paper Towns, but that I even though I did read that or listen to the book of that again this year, I can't count it because I first read it a long time ago. So, yeah, Looking for Alaska is a good book that I read for the first time in 2016 because I'm with the times. Game. What's your favorite game that you played for the first time in 2016? I was at my friend Valerie and Kenzie's house a few months ago, and they showed me a game called I Made a Game with Zombies in It. Val, if you're watching this, then you will probably remember the day and laugh. We ended up spending like the entire day just playing this game over and over again. So much so that by the end of the day, when I went to leave, I was literally nauseous and had a headache and dizzy from staring at the screen and watching this. Because if you know the game, then you know what I'm talking about. It's like seizure inducing. And I was so dizzy and sick from playing this game all day, I had to spend the night and leave the next day. So that was a fun game. Okay, your favorite album that you experienced for the first time in 2016. And for me, even though this album came out, I think, in 2015, I just discovered this band for the first time in 2016 because everybody was raving about it. I kept hearing left and right about all the people that love this band. And the band is Modest Mouse, and the album is, I wrote it, Strangers to Ourselves. I enjoyed that album. It's a good album. I should have got on board with this band sooner. I didn't find them until this year. And I started with that album because it was their most recent that I found. And I enjoyed it. Lampshades on Fire is a very catchy song. So there you go. There's a good answer, I think. Even though I'm late to the game. And lastly, podcast. Favorite podcast that you listened to for the first time in 2016. And I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I discovered this podcast. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. In fact, there's only one podcast I listen to like at all. And that is this podcast that I can't remember specifically if I discovered it in January 2016 or December 2015, but I'm going to count it because it's the only one I listen to. It's called The Drunken Metaphysical. It is hosted by Kurt Zandvig and Ginny McQueen, and they get drunk and they talk about metaphysical stuff, paranormal stuff, like time travel, alternate timelines, lizard people, and a bunch of stuff like that. I'll put a link in the place where links generally are. It genuinely amuses me, this show, because it's interesting topics, and they're drunk. And they went a step further, and on my request, specifically for me, because I asked them to, and because they're really nice people, they debunked the spirit box thing. I had seen this video about this guy. I made a video about it before. This guy claims to have contacted the spirit of Robin Williams via spirit box, and that like bothered me on a deep soul inner level. And so I asked Ginny and Kurt to investigate, and they actually purchased a spirit box and went to places that are known to be haunted and attempted to use it and debunked it for me. And now I can sleep peacefully at night because of them. So thank you to them. And that's the podcast that is the answer to the question. And those are all the questions. So to recap, the questions are that you experienced, whether they came out in this year or not, that is your favorite from 2016 movie, TV show, book, game, album, and podcast. And the people that I'm going to tag, that you now have to make a video answering these same questions and then tag 3 people yourself. Hopefully you do it like soon. Don't put it off so long that you forget. I'm watching you. I'll be watching your channels. The 3 people that I'm going to tag are Lovely Thoughts, because you don't use your channel enough, lady. Jeannie McQueen, because you're awesome and you do the podcast that I talked about, so I'm tagging you. And Brian Dealman, because you asked me and I talked about you in my last, and you just started vlogging, and this will give you an excuse to vlog. This will give you something to do for your channel, man. So Brian Dealman, make this video. Hey, guess what? This was my lazy vlog.